You know, I logged on to here, and before I turned this live, it said like 95 people waiting. Ooh. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be nice. 95 people waiting for me to go live. Guys, it starts at 9 o'clock. This is a pregame show. This is a pregame show, an hour long. Starts 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. ABC, streaming everywhere. Everyone can stream it. What's up, guys? What is going on? Just the grand finale tonight. I mean, the sun is setting right now. This is amazing. The energy. This is the biggest debate we've seen. I mean, you could argue the Trump-Biden debate was big, but this is a huge debate again. ABC, yeah, but you know what I'll say about ABC? The moderator, I mean, look at this. We've got reports emerging. Kamala Harris begged the Trump team prior to the debate at least 5 or 6 times to call and turn the microphones on. This is going to get me trending on Twitter. This is great. Is there any chance Trump wins New Hampshire and Virginia? I think there's a small chance. It's hard to say, man. There's not a lot of polls that come out of those states. But in general, I would say there's a small chance. I'm going to try not to drink too much tonight. Just saw him get off the plane. Trump. Yeah, I saw Kamala was greeted by a bunch of Trump supporters. A bunch of Trump people. I am going to be testing the sound, so just to make sure. Just to make sure the sound is good. Good evening. Yes, this should be good. Spectacular. It should be good. Ducks for Trump. Dude, remember that video? Oh my God. This is the most funny thing. Well, this girl is crazy. I mean, this is... I'm not even going to play this right now. Oh, this is funny.
The president is racist.
Kamala Harris is a fat bitch.
I'm speaking. And I'm a woman. Woman speaking. I am speaking.
I mean that was her plan. That was her plan. She was just gonna say, "I'm speaking, I'm speaking, I'm speaking, I'm speaking," and that's why she wanted the mics unmuted. But I also think it was also to make Trump look worse. Oh, not this. Not this.
What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, "Protect our ducks and kittens in Ohio," because he goes down
Dude, it's a
crazy
sitcom.
rabbit hole. What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets,
And it's just the
"Protect our
meme.
ducks and
It's just
kittens
the meme.
in Ohio." What in the hell is this? The chairman tweets, "Protect
It's
our
so
ducks
fake, too.
and kittens."
Oh, man. I know she did. That's another thing. If people don't know, she asked for a smaller podium because Trump, if they had the same size, he would seem so much bigger. The scale would embarrass her because she's so much smaller than Trump. So they do like optics. I thought they didn't care about that stuff. But they do care that the fact that Trump's like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, people tell me he's 6'4". The ratings are going to be wild. Oh, absolutely. No, dude, this is totally fake. It's like pathetic.
In Ohio, because he goes down some crazy rabbit hole.
This is just so fake.
Debunked that aliens are.
But why do they just make up stuff? Now they've said, all they say now is, oh, it's a lie that the Haitian migrants are eating ducks. No, that's what they've been doing. I mean, that's happened even before. I was hearing people do that. Like, it's a cultural thing. People do that. But then they're like, oh, it's a lie because we don't like it. So it's a lie. Well, how is it a lie? I saw another, I mean, they go after JD Vance so hard, dude. They really hate JD Vance. I mean, JD Vance gets called a racist even more than Trump at this point. Yeah, no, I'll definitely be able to look at all the other conservative streamers. They're all showing the debate. I can show the debate for sure. Yeah, I'll be showing the debate and reacting to it. Google says Trump is 6'3", 215. Yeah, that's because it was his measurement at jail. His measurements at jail. What? I know, it's such a fake outrage. What the hell is this? And it just cuts to a still image of the Trump picture, the AI picture with the animals. Oh man. Yeah, they're muting mics. Yes, they are. They're muting mics. That's been confirmed for a while now. Oh man. Harris live debate. ABC. Yeah, I guess ABC, you can stream it. C-SPAN. There's a lot of different ones. Let me just make sure that this is ad block is on this. Can't wait for Vance Waltz. Yeah, that'll be a blowout, but it's going to have less hype than this. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. That was another one, man. That's like back to back in the same week. Just total lie. Just lying so obviously. It's like bad acting. You want to mute my mic? You want to mute? Oh, whoa. What if they muted my mic? Oh man. Use C-SPAN. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you use. Maybe, I guess because there won't be any commercials. Or I think there is commercials. I don't know. I use C-SPAN for the DNC. If Trump wins this debate, he might actually win the whole election by an extremely significant margin, maybe even a landslide. Well, it depends. I mean, I think there's definitely a chance of it because she's opened herself up to getting crushed in this. If she gets crushed, it's going to be so catastrophic because she doesn't do interviews. Then she's going to have to start doing interviews, but it's going to be forced because she'll be losing by so much. What would you like to see Trump expose Kamala on the most? Well, honestly, I think immigration. Because immigration is you could argue, the number one biggest topic. Yeah, I mean, it seems like everyone has coverage for this, honestly. What time is it? Does it start in the UK? I don't know. Is it 6 hours later? Might be 6 hours later in the UK. 5 a.m. I don't know. ABC talking about indictments. What a joke that is. ABC is trashing him. It's mainstream media. ABC will bring up January 6th. Well, it won't matter. I mean, Harris will bring it up either way. Harris will bring it up for sure. Yeah, like it seems like everyone is alive for this, honestly. How many hours until it starts? Like 50 minutes. What would you not want to see from Trump tonight? Well, I think avoid. It depends what question it is, because I know some of Trump's strategy is to avoid certain questions. They tell him to avoid the January 6th thing straight up. But like some of the questions that Trump avoided in his debate against Biden it was really dumb. It was like they were good questions for him. It's just when you get asked a question, don't completely avoid it. I mean, it doesn't hurt too much with the mics muted. It's better because you can't really get called out on it. But I would say the avoidance of questions when you're asked certain things, especially things like, I remember he avoided a question about fentanyl coming across the border. That's a good topic for Trump because they want an open border. This debate is not going to help either candidate by a significant margin unless something catastrophic happens to either candidate. Well, you also have to understand, I understand what you're saying. You're comparing the debates to prior years, and they really haven't changed much. But the thing about this is we haven't seen a situation like this where one of the candidates refuses to do interviews. So it could have a huge effect if she does perform poorly. Breaking points is a joke. I mean, yeah, some of the breaking point stuff that they've said, I haven't watched it in a little while, but I know they started going back to Kamala, and it's just all crap. Those people, like the one woman, she's like, oh, now I like them. They're all the same. I mean, all these Democrats, they just wanted Biden out. But Biden and Kamala are the same, so it's like, I don't understand. The criticism of Biden, it was always just that he's old and he's going to lose, but they're both the same. How long will the debate be? Well, I don't know. Normally it's an hour and a half. So normally to go to 10:30. Yeah, he says 90 minutes. Yeah. Is there two breaks? Maybe two breaks within, because that's what they did last time. I don't know. All right, we don't need to see this
problems
woman.
in society disproportionately impact.
It's just common sense.
What's common sense to
It's just common sense.
What's common sense to Sherrod Brown? Brown voted to allow biological men in girls' sports and supported allowing sex change surgeries for kids.
It's just common sense.
Extreme Sherrod Brown makes no sense for Ohio.
Here's the thing.
Thought I blocked. Yeah, it's all gonna be Sherrod Brown ads with where I live. Yeah, I saw that, dude. With the meme behind him, I saw that. That was hilarious. Trump is in. Well, this had to have been like an hour ago. This was about an hour ago. Do you have the rights to stream the debate? Well, this is fair use. This is fair use. This is a political thing, so that's why. Look at all the other conservatives. They all stream it. Polymarket. Polymarket, I think, is the same. I was looking at the Polymarket prop bets, and yeah, Polymarket is, it went down 1 for Trump, I think. But it's basically been the same exact thing. Dang, you remember this? Holy crap. But, I mean, Trump's been hanging around here for 2.5 weeks, it looks like. This range. Yeah, it's been about 2.5 weeks he's been hanging around here. But yeah, we can take a look at some of the prop bets. Or I don't know, are they called prop bets? Something like that. What will Trump say? I looked at all this yesterday. Who will win the debates according to the polls? Kamala, 77% chance. Favorite to win the day after. Trump should pump his fist walking in. When is it starting? It's starting at 9. It's starting in 44 minutes, basically. Yeah, I'll be able to stream it. Well, the debate's obviously in Pennsylvania. It's the most important state. Both candidates have been living in Pennsylvania. Living. Favorite conservative podcaster? The only podcast I ever really listened to was Joe Rogan like 4 or 5 years ago. I used to listen to him a lot, but I don't listen to really podcasters at this point. Do you think they'll shake hands? There's a prop bet on it. I saw it was like a 16% chance or something. I don't know. You think they'll shake hands? I mean, maybe. That's like a unity bullshit. You better say Tampon Tim. I mean, I guess if it comes up, he might say it. Trump should walk out with an ear bandage. Yeah, they would just make fun of him for milking it, unfortunately. Could Virginia still swing? I mean, it's going to be tough, but it could. I mean, we'll see what happens with the debate. Which of the swing states, which ones are the closest? I'd say the Rust Belt is the closest probably right now. When are you going on the Joe Rogan Experience? That's a troll question. Is YouTube your only job? Well, other than investing, yes. What will be the biggest surprise out of each candidate they will show? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of surprises. Because there's not a lot of compromise going on right now with how partisan we are in the United States. I mean, you can kind of tell what the arguments are going to be, depending on the topic, because they've said it before. Trump is going to take this. All Kamala do will ramble. Yeah, I know. She does do the word salads. That's her big problem. Apparently, it's been reported she's been trying to memorize stuff like crazy. I mean, it's crazy. You know, she like has these cue cards and she tries to memorize everything. Yeah, I think what's going on in Springfield, really bad stuff, obviously. Juan, what's up, man? Do you think 2028 would be Whitmer versus DeSantis? Come on. What are we doing here? I think Whitmer will probably be the VP to Newsom, honestly. DeSantis, I don't know, man. DeSantis hurt himself running against MAGA. I don't know. He might get himself back in good graces, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get a nomination. It depends. I mean, for DeSantis, it also depends. He kind of needs Trump to lose, because if Trump wins, then it's going to be J.D. Vance, more than likely, you would think. What state do you live in? Ohio. That's why you see the Brown ads, the Sherrod Brown ads. Do you think ABC will be fair to Trump? Well, let me give my quick take on it. I think with the mics muted, it hurts the moderators significantly. They really can't, there's no way to interject because somebody's mic is muted. So when Trump talks over Biden, or, you know, for example, Trump talks over Biden, Biden talks over Trump, they have to interject. That's a moderator talking. we saw with CNN, Trump was like, "Oh, CNN's very fair." I kind of think with the mics muted, I kind of think that it's the moderators are kind of irrelevant. The only thing that they can control is the conversation topic, which you would think would be all the obvious ones anyways. The only way it could be biased against Trump is if they spent an exorbitant amount of time on abortion, on the shootings, on topics that are negative and barely talk about immigration, which seems unlikely. So I think the moderators are kind of taken out of it. And I think the Harris campaign realized it. So they said, look, we want the mics on. So because then Trump would start spatting with the moderator, and then it'd be a debate with the moderator, and it would make him look unpresidential. And so I think the Harris campaign realized that, even though Biden, they said they wanted the mics muted, they came back and they said, no, we want them unmuted. And you could also say, well, she also wants to say I'm speaking and everything like that. Ohio, not the best state for crime. Well, it depends where you live. Every state, it depends what city you live in, honestly. They won't run Newsom. He would lose by 400 electoral votes. I mean, it's impossible to say that. I mean, it's way too early to say anything like that. They also can cut off Trump. Well, then it would be obvious. I mean, it's harder for them to do that. Have you ever been into day trading? No, I haven't. You think the topics will be biased? Yeah, that's something we'll have to watch. Obviously, that's something we'll have to watch. Should Trump stay away from talking about Kamala's blackness? Yes. Ever been to Cedar Point? Yeah, a few times I've been there. They'll talk about abortion, January 6th, Russia, school shootings, all quite. Yeah, but then it's too obvious. They're not going to do that, man. They're going to have to talk about the border. I guarantee you they'll talk about immigration. That'll be a key topic. They're going to have to, man. If there went a full debate without an immigration question, then everyone would be like, all right, this is absurd. They're going to have to do it. It's probably going to be the second or third topic. It's economy, immigration, abortion. Those are the big three, I'm guessing. And then they're going to do the recent shootings, and then, which is obviously bad for Trump because he's losing ground on, because she's immediately going to start guilt tripping and using the tragedy for political advantage. That's what they do. Turtle, man, you know what? I think I do remember you, man. You got to catch me on a more quiet stream, and we could have a conversation, man. No, I would not buy Truth. I would not buy Truth Social stock personally, man. I mean, even if he wins, what is he going to do? 2x? I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the risk. The funny thing is, I do have YouTube Premium, but not on this account. See, when you're a YouTuber, when you watch YouTube videos, you don't use your main account to watch the videos. It just doesn't make sense. But I do have Premium, but not on my main account. But I don't think they're even going to have ads anyways on when it, like C-SPAN is not going to have ads, I don't think. Who do you think will have the biggest moment of the debate? Well, I think for good or for bad, Trump will. Why is everything so pro Kamala? What, mainstream? I mean, yeah, I barely watched that at this point, dude. You just gotta get used to it. I mean, it is what it is. This is my largest chat ever now. I doubt it. Believe it or not, I got 3,000 people live when I was reacting to a college football game. What stock would I buy? Well, I'd have to do some research on stocks, but I think Tesla will be a good long-term hold. Voting on abortion in 2020. Yeah, I mean, dude, abortion is such a. I know what you're saying. But I mean, dude, they have the tagline. They're taking away your rights. Harris is up by 2 on predicted. I did notice that earlier today when I was doing a video. She was up by 5, I think, yesterday, right? The debate starts in about 30 minutes. Ooh, dude. Let's get this debate going, man. I'm ready to get it going. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, man, that's a really unfortunate loss for you if you had Boise winning. They really should have won that game. It was 2 special teams touchdowns that won it for Oregon. Will Trump release the 9/11? I highly, honestly, dude, I doubt it. Anything important? I mean, it's very unlikely. He might release some stuff, but there's so much stuff, and you release some stuff, it's all crap. It's like useless. Check real clear in 538. I haven't checked 538 in forever, man, honestly. I guess I do have it searched up here. Dude, this favorability is so crazy, man. Yeah, they have Harris up by 2.7. What polls do they use? Yeah. But this is the crazy stuff. This is just... This is hard to believe. It really is. I mean, dude. You won your fantasy because McCaffrey didn't play. I don't know how he didn't play. I didn't even realize he was questionable. She will lie. Trump does well. Rolling eyes. Then making a cogent point. Yeah. I mean, obviously she's going to lie, but so is he. You know, she put out a video, an ad video yesterday saying all Trump's going to do is lie. Well, listen, remember, when it comes to stuff like this, saying she'll lie, he'll lie, remember during the first debate when they said all Trump did was lie, and then people went back and fact-checked it, and Biden lied 27 times or something like that? So if we're going to sit here and just start debating who lies more, I mean, like, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the key knockout punches. We need to see a knockout punch. The debate is going to be like, all right, what is the line on this debate? Well, according to Polymarket, the line is Kamala minus 5.5. Believe it or not, maybe like 7.5 if they've got her favored by that much. I mean, but it's a 538 poll. That's what they're taking this from. No, this is not what I was talking about. Who will win the debate according to the polls? Kamala Harris at an all-time high 79% chance. Look at this bullshit. They're already trying. Does it start at 6 Pacific? Trump plus 5.5. He might be plus like 8 now, man. This is crazy. You think Trump covers the spread? Yeah, but does he win? That's he might cover the spread plus 5.5, but does he win? Yeah, the Texas A&M Commerce, the altcoin. You got your learner's permit today. What are you, 13 years old? Yeah, they are using 538 to gauge. That is true. Which is pretty dumb. They should do an aggregate like of 5 different pollsters and average it out. What do you think? I mean, yeah, will 538 under any circumstance admit that she lost the debate unless it's like catastrophic? I wonder what they said about Biden. They probably said he lost the debate, but then that was because they were trying to get rid of Biden and put pressure on him. The whole Democratic establishment was, or not the whole, but a lot of them. What do you think of the criticism that he failed to drain the swamp? Oh, I mean, I listen, Trump had zero experience leading anything. So he goes into there the first time. He's completely overwhelmed. Certainly, he's going to be a lot better. I mean, anyone is going to be better. The more time you get used to a job, it's going to be easier. But Trump, especially, considering he never really ran anything. So you go in there, it's a whirlwind. You spend the first 5 months just understanding that you're actually there. I mean, you can say it's an excuse, but that's just how it is with really anyone, especially someone like Trump. You think he thought he had 8 years? Well, I mean, maybe when he got to year 3 or year 4, he thought he was going to get reelected, I'm sure, but ABC, their chat is turned off. It'd be a cesspool. I mean, ABC mods, they're not going to be that biased, man. They can't be. They're going to have very little say. The only thing they have say over is what gets said, or what they The only thing that they really have say over is the topics and how long that each candidate talks about the topics. But even that, Trump will go off script, and so I mean, we saw Biden do it as well. They'll just talk about something completely different. I'd love to cook you a big steak. Oh my. What in the hell? Yeah, Chris Christie's going to be moderating the debate. Thoughts on the serial killer in Austin, Texas? I didn't even hear about that. Is there a wanted killer? The two. Yeah. Even if Trump, I mean, you're going to have that no matter what, though. The idea is with the census change, it's going to be harder and harder for them to win. That's why they need to import more immigrants. Chris Christie's physique is honestly amazing. He does have a lot of muscle. It's not blubber, it is muscle. You're right on that. All right, let's I mean, what is this, just a live stream of his plane? They're just showing Trump's plane landing over and over again. You see the picture of Chuck Schumer with the cat with cheese? No, I haven't seen that. Dude, these AI pictures are amazing with the cats. Kind of like it without crowds. No, I agree, dude. But Trump supporters think crowds are good. But, dude, the problem with crowds is they'll freaking clap for like 5 minutes and it just wastes time. I'm serious. That's what has happened. It's happened several times in previous debates where the crowd will have a reaction and it's like, can they just shut up already? What's Twitter saying? Well, it depends what you know. I mean, it depends what your algorithm is. That'll tell you. I mean, we can see if anything is trending. Oh, what if Trump comes out with a cat? Trump comes out with a duck. Oh my god. Eat less kittens, vote Republicans. Very, very trendy. You got a Carrie Lake ad. You live in Arizona, huh?
New York. Then we're going to watch a debate. And then tomorrow I'm
we're going to watch the debate.
My granddaughter's birthday in New York. Then we're going to watch a debate. And then tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. I spoke to the vice president.
Tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. Yeah, he means like a memorial, but still. Can I do a vlog in Springfield, Ohio? Yeah, even though I live in Ohio, I don't really live close to Springfield, honestly. It's multiple hours away. I was going to vote for Trump, but then Kamala promised tax-funded gender transition surgery for detained migrants. That's one of their core policies. What is this?
Court by your aid. We have example after example of this administration coordinated, apparently, according to a federal court, by your agency.
Have I seen any Haitians? I don't live anywhere near there, so no, I haven't. A vlog in Springfield? Dude, somebody already did do a vlog. The one dude that interviews people I saw. I don't know if you guys have seen that YouTube video. I think his name is Tyler. He went down there, and apparently they're really bad drivers. They can't drive. ABC is lying already. I heard ABC was real biased against Trump in the pre-show. Hunter has been helping Kamala. Yeah, I've heard of a few people helping Kamala out during her debate prep. Who's more hated in Ohio, LeBron or Deshaun? Deshaun. Yeah, I think Trump will win North Carolina pretty easily. What kind of drugs is Kamala going to be on? Just shit that makes her focus. How to turn the debate into a drinking game. Well, there's bingo that you can play with it on Polymarket. Did you see the sea turtle meme? An illegal immigrant drove an SUV over a sea turtle net. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I know. I know about the dude that you're talking about. The 13 keys. Of course, the 13 keys got to be brought up. News scum. That is a good nickname for him. I mean, that was Trump's nickname. News scum is on CNN. He praised Trump on working with him during the pandemic. Yeah, he's trying to rewrite himself. Did you also see he came out and said that Kamala needs to do interviews now? He's trying to appear more moderate for whatever reason, maybe to try and be more likable, I guess. I'm guessing all young white males here. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what people are. I mean, that is a major Republican demographic. Imagine your little town getting taken. I know, dude. And that's like 30% of them taking it. I mean, their population was 58K. I thought it was 80K. But no, it was 58K. And I think now it's 80K when you include the migrants. They're obsessed with race, yes. Oh, man. We've got a very diverse group of white people. No, I mean, we've got some. You're Russian? Oh, man, you're the devil to liberals, man. Oh. Will Trump bring up Hunter Biden 9/11? And the fact, well, he's not going to bring up 9/11, I'll tell you that. And the fact that Kamala prepared so much for the debate, I highly doubt he'll bring that up either. That doesn't seem like something really worthy of bringing up. I mean, it is kind of embarrassing how much they need to prepare. Biden's was a lot worse because he was the president and he went to Camp David for 10 days. Is Trump's goal just to roast her? I mean, it's a long debate. He can't just roast her. Yeah, I know. Everyone is streaming it. That's the whole point. And then they say, I can't stream it. Come on, guys. This is fair use. Everyone's streaming it. There's no live audience. There is no audience. Do you think Kamala will drink before the debate? I would imagine, obviously, no. We'll see. I wonder what the first question is. I wonder if anyone has what the first question is. Or like normally they used to give out topics, like what the topics were going to be. Is this the actual? No, that's not. I mean, they won't even allow me to use ad block. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Can you resume this then? Trump to thank her for supporting. No taps on tips. Yeah, I know. That's what he should do. Especially the wall. What is this going on? Oh my goodness.
On the left, the concern is sometimes about too few and purging.
This was aired on
vulnerable
August 27th, and
Texas
what's the
just
point of
announced that
doing this? It's ridiculous. What happened to the Lego Twin Towers? You want to know what happened is the glare of them was really bad. Like behind me when I got this new webcam, and like it made it really like, because they were trying to focus on it. It's weird to explain, but I can't really have them behind me anymore because of the glare with my new webcam. Dude, 400K watching this. Oh my God.
An economic message that lifts people up.
Really, Josh Shapiro has to have a.
I expect you'll see Kamala
Where is he at? A
speak not only
freaking
about her strong track record,
Western
but her strong
movie?
vision for
I mean,
the
what is
nation
that behind
to
him?
prosecute the case effectively against Donald Trump tonight.
You mentioned the case against Trump. What about Joe Biden? You know, how does she go about building off of their record, but making clear to voters
here it
who are
is.
concerned that she won't just be Biden 2.0?
Well, serving as Joe Biden's vice president made her fit and ready to serve on day one. I think it's important.
999 people
Kamala
watching.
Harris's positions, her
That's
vision,
hilarious.
the things she wants to do for this nation.
Josh
Elections
Shapiro,
are
who
about
didn't
the
get picked because
future.
he's Jewish, is
Kamala
talking.
Harris's vision for the future is a stark contrast to the dangerous vision of the future that Donald Trump has. One of less freedom and more chaos under Donald Trump.
We will see how it unfolds on the debate stage. Governor Shapiro, thank you so much.
All right, so
Imagine they turned on the chat. It would just be a. It would be a swarm.
Debated Donald Trump and helped him prepare for
Guys, how is the sound of this? How is the sound? Is the sound? Is that too loud? Am I too loud? Well, this is freaking a commercial. Yeah, I did. I switched the sound a little bit. I did switch the sound a little bit. So that's good to hear. How long did it take me to reach 168,000 subscribers? Well, I mean, it's all public. I mean, you could look it up, honestly, on Social Blade if you wanted to. I mean, it took like 3.5 years, maybe. It was good before the adjustment. Well, no, I have it turned down because it's a commercial. When it's a commercial, I'm going to turn the sound down. Yeah, I'll make it louder when it comes back on. Are you going to have commercials? I don't think I don't think there, well, actually there will be commercials on this, yes.
First thing in the morning. There's a lot going on. We're still in a flash flood warning to catch you up with what happened overnight, clashing over national.
There's no reason for her to say excuse me because the mics are muted. Yeah, there's 2 commercial breaks scheduled. It's the exact same rules as in the Biden-Trump debate. Exact same rules. You started watching me during realignment? Yeah, I remember those videos, man. 10 minutes, yeah, 10 minutes. And then it's an hour. Well, it's not an hour long. There's going to be 2 commercials, but it's going to basically 90 straight minutes of a debate. What made you start getting into politics? I've always been interested in I mean, the first videos on my channel were about politics, but it's just always something. Really, since 2015, I've been interested. I mean, some of it's probably Trump. I mean, Trump makes politics a lot different than what it normally is. Any live betting going on? Well, what would the live betting be? I mean, in terms of the debate, like who wins the debate? The one thing I was looking at was like, would they ever do like live who's winning the debate with a poll, but then the poll could be biased. It's like, is there really even a point to that? Like, CNN's going to release a snap debate poll, I'm sure. Every time Kamala laughs, they'll need a commercial break so the viewers can recover. Yeah, I wonder if they're aware of that and they tell her to shut up and don't do the laugh at all. They probably are.
Center, the site of tonight's debate.
This reminds me of like a Hillary versus Trump type background.
And I'm Jonathan Carl, Barry Bruce, and Rachel Scott. The candidates are just off the stage, ready to walk out. They are in their hold rooms, just minutes from making that walk.
What do you think that Chance Harris has a mental breakdown? That would be awesome.
But it's also that time you just say, this is go time. You get in your
I don't think there's a high chance of that, unfortunately. A breakdown, a meltdown where she has to run off the stage.
Studied, they're going to go out, open the curtain.
All right, well then let's bring somebody in who has been there, both debating Donald Trump.
Man, that's some nice carpet.
For general
That's some
election
clean
debates,
carpet.
The former governor of New Jersey, Christie. So Chris, you've helped prepare Trump for this moment several times. He says he doesn't.
Christie.
Does.
This dude's like crying.
Into that room right now.
He's crying.
Well, look, at this point, he's in the worst hour of his prep because you just have to sit there and wait for.
I'm shocked he's supporting Trump.
They make you get there early, and so he is there. He's not really being spoken to. You know, a little small talk here and there, but nobody's trying to give him any kind of clues.
So let me ask you the question.
Wait, is he supporting Trump or not now?
I tried to ask Tom Cotton. He didn't.
He's been kind of
give me an
irrelevant.
answer, but you will. Which Trump is going to show up tonight? You know what I mean by that.
I can't believe ABC would show Christie as the Trump supporter.
I think at the beginning of the debate,
oh my God,
the Trump who will show up will be the calmer Donald Trump. He knows inherently after the 2020 first debate against Joe Biden that the other Donald Trump is not the one that's a winning formula. The question's going to be,
he did beat Biden in 2024.
Continue to maintain that approach through questioning by David and Lindsay and through any comments that Vice President Harris makes in his direction. And that'll be the key to how he performs tonight.
And you and I were talking, you helped prepare him for those 2016 debates against Hillary Clinton. He told you that he had respect.
What a weird person to bring on. This is mainstream media, though.
Preparing. What about Kamala Harris? We hear not the same.
Well, certainly he's not saying that publicly in any way. And I can tell you that in 2016, he would regularly say during
the chat does not like
many
it.
debate prep sessions
the
that we
chat
had
is
with
pissed
him,
off.
That Hillary Clinton was smart, that she was a good debater, that she was not to be taken lightly. And I don't think there was ever a moment in 2016 where he took her lightly. I do think he took Joe Biden lightly in 2020. And clearly during the prep sessions that I had with him, it was very, very difficult to get him to focus on what Joe Biden might or might not do in that first debate.
Why does he look like he just woke up?
Yeah, reflected that. So the question's going to be, is what he's saying publicly what he really
What are you watching
believes?
it on?
We know
It's on just their
that off with
YouTube
Donald
live
Trump,
stream.
That's performance. But I will tell you that in his 2016 prep, he was serious about getting ready for Hillary Clinton. In his 2020 debate prep, he was completely unserious about getting ready for Joe Biden. I think performances in both those debates reflected that approach.
All right, Christie.
He won the second debate against Biden in 2020.
We have about 6 minutes left before the debate, so let's bring in Donna Brazil, formerly of the DNC, and Reince Priebus.
It's funny they have Donna Brazil on after what happened with her on CNN.
You have said that Kamala Harris has to own the future, but she also has to own the past. So how does she do this?
It's quite easy. Because I do believe that in talking about the future, you draw from your past. You draw from your past experiences. She draws from how she was raised, the values that was instilled in her as a young lady.
I think Willie Brown instilled some values to her.
Still in her resolve. And tonight she should talk to the American people, sit in their living rooms, go to their kitchen table and say, look, I have some ideas that I want to share with you. There's so much that we have done together over the last 4 years, but here's what I think we can do together over the next 4 years. Be positive in her approach and really remind the American people that we don't want to go back to the chaos and the confusion, the disaster that made
Am I nervous at all?
people go out in droves in 2020
I just want Trump to do well.
Say, I want to be a president that lead all Americans. I want to keep us strong and secure, and here's the plan that I want to share with you tonight.
And Donna, I of course meant Biden. She has to own up to the Biden administration's any mistakes they made too, and Donald
Just get to the debate.
Go after her on that.
You know, Martha, they made mistakes. Donald Trump and Mr. Pence made mistakes, but you know what? If we focus on our mistakes, we won't focus on all of the good things.
Guys, I'll let them talk. I'm not going to talk over them. Don't worry.
Able to work. The people who can buy their insulin without paying over $1,000, $35. There's so much good that she can talk about from the visits that she's made to small towns across this country, large cities across the country. Bring us together. The American people want to be led into the future, not dragged back to another era.
And Ryan, so I want your thoughts.
Which accent? I don't think she's going to bring out an accent, to be honest. If that was a serious question, I don't think she's going to.
I believe. What Donald Trump do you think we'll see tonight? Can he be disciplined about talking about policies and what kind of president he will be?
Well, he certainly can be. I mean, the reality is Donald Trump doesn't have a lot to lose tonight. I mean, his
why does the old lady constantly wrinkle her forehead?
Unmovable.
I don't know.
So the second piece is that
maybe
I think is over
a Botox
for
overdose.
Harris. And you all kind of touched on it with Donna. Kamala Harris has to answer for the state of the economy that she took a role in the Biden administration, the border, you know, her past positions on decriminalizing the border, decriminalizing certain drugs, what her role was in Afghanistan. So really, the spotlight is on Kamala Harris tonight because she played a role in the Biden administration. She wants to act like she's not an incumbent. So this is where the focus is going to be. And she's got a lot to answer for tonight. And
yeah,
I think that's where
CNN is streaming it as well.
Will be and where it actually should be.
I think everyone is streaming it.
Well, one of the things he wants to do is have female voters look at him. How does he
Tim Walz is streaming it. Debate watch party with Governor Tim Walz.
That tonight. Things
oh
he
my
said
God.
about Kamala Harris, that she's dumb as a rock. That's not really going to attract female voters, is it?
Yeah, no, it won't. But I also think that just like he did in the first debate against Joe Biden, I think the
all right, guys, tell me if the volume is good. Someone told me to turn it up.
Tie Kamala Harris to the Biden administration, which is where Trump is winning against her on the economy, inflation, and all these other problems that we're having. And then sit back and let her talk. Let her explain herself, her past positions, current positions. How does she feel about how Biden has done on the economy? How does she feel about the border? Then turn it over and let her talk.
Okay, thanks so much for
How does she feel about the border? Are you kidding? Dude, what are we even talking about,
And I have
dude?
to say, as we are
You're
just
lost.
a couple of less than 2 minutes away, this such
How does she feel about the border? She wants more illegal immigrants in. She loves that.
These two people that have been the center of our lives for the last 2 months have never met each other.
Have never even met each other. And Harris said, if you got something to say it to my face. The question tonight, does Donald Trump actually go there? He's questioned her racial identity. He's questioned her intelligence as well. Or does he stick to the issues?
Look, this is the largest audience they're likely going to have in this race. It will be interesting to see if Harris can make clear the stark choice before voters. And where does she?
All right, here it is. Let's go.
Punches? She can punch hard. Can she do that while rising above the needle and coming?
First question. All right, what is the first question?
When the two of them meet for the first time.
We didn't back in 2016 when I did that debate. We'll stand by to see that tonight. But the first time, side to side, together.
And I have my doubts that we're going to see that handshake, but what we are going to see is a spirited debate and perhaps the most consequential general election debate we have ever seen, because almost certainly going to be the last one. So with the
almost certainly going to be the last one. This is why she's such a coward, man. So they're already giving her, oh, it's only the only debate.
Everything.
I'll talk about tomorrow.
Fact checking on our live blog.
Oh yeah,
It's all
fact
gonna
checking with you
happen
people.
Right here, the debate now, just 10 seconds
Trump is a
away,
demon, true.
and we will be back with our post-game show as soon as it's over. We are going to toss it right now to David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Tonight, the high-stakes showdown here in Philadelphia between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
Oh, my
their
God.
First face-to-face meeting in this presidential election, their first face-to-face meeting ever.
A historic race for president
Dude means
upended
business.
just weeks ago. President Biden withdrawing after his last debate. Donald Trump now up against a new opponent.
The candidates separated by the smallest of margins, essentially tied in the polls nationally and in the key battlegrounds, including right here in Pennsylvania, all still very much in play. The ABC News presidential debate starts right now.
This is an ABC News special, the most consequential moment of this campaign. Kamala Harris.
Together, we will chart
It already is in theater mode.
forward.
Donald Trump,
We will soon be a great nation again.
face to face, historic. The ABC News presidential debate. Here now, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Good evening, I'm David Muir, and thank you for joining us for tonight's ABC News presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and around the world tonight. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential
Please
event
stop
of
the
their
spam.
campaigns, with Election Day now less than 2 months away. For Vice President Kamala Harris, this is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No pre-written notes allowed. There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice
Thank
President
you,
Harris
thank you.
selected the
People were
podium
making fun
to
of that.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
If I make it full screen, it's all based on OBS. I can't do it.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you
Cringe.
both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their #1 issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. And I am actually the only person on
Already
this stage
deflecting.
who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time,
Like
so that
J.D. Vance.
those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
What did she even say?
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security.
And she wanted the
during
Haitian
this
immigrants
debate,
to come in.
I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
Because of COVID.
Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century.
It was the worst pandemic in a century.
Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling.
Did Willie Brown use the playbook?
What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025
there it is.
That the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad. But it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic.
You see your strategy with the fake smile?
Not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic.
Fake smile.
We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back. And it bounced back, and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe
Like
as
the
an
Tax
opportunity economy.
Cuts and Jobs
and
Act?
the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that
More of
would
that fake shit.
increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has
talking about a
no
recession.
plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
That's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and create jobs and create a lot of good, solid money for our country. And just to finish off,
Yep, there's the strategy, sarcastic smile.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
That's come out.
Mr. President, I
He's
do want
right,
to drill
that's
down
come
on
out.
something you both brought
She
up.
copy and pasted
The
it.
Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response.
Well, they have
You
the
heard what
25%
president said there,
inflation. This
because
is
the
not
Biden
hard.
administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century, which means
That's real rich,
focusing
coming
on
from
the
liberals about
details of
China.
what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in American-based technology so that we win the race on
Like being a simp
AI
for NATO?
and quantum computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce so that we don't end up having, on the short end of the stick, in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump
having
did,
Haitians
let's
take the
talk
jobs.
about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us
Hit her on the border.
transparency
She's got
about
50
the
tweets
origins
criticizing
of
the border.
COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
And there it is, the reaction.
She's gone to my
This was their strategy.
But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will
It's the
be
sarcastic
end
laugh.
of our
Trump needs to
country.
call it out.
She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he
Why don't
taught
you
her
grow
well.
up?
But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue
And she's got that
of
bitch look
abortion.
on her face
President
now.
Trump,
That
you
was her
often touted
strategy.
that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history.
We knew this
then
was
last
coming.
month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's an execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to it.
Oh, there it is. There's the ABC bias.
As I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime, a violation to their body, does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And
That's a total
one
outlier,
does not
Pace.
have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
You've lost the argument when your argument is 0.1% of the cases.
Incest, being forced to carry a pregnancy to term.
0.1%.
They don't want that. And I pledge to you,
You're arguing the outliers.
when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Is the moderator going to say that's a lie?
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not
But the
signing
moderator
a ban,
didn't correct it.
and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She
And it's
won't
gonna be
even come
Republican
close to it.
Senate.
So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of when they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The
They got
student
sued.
loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or
I don't
no,
know why
because
it's
you're
so
running
blurry
it,
now.
J.D. Vance has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They
Where's
can
the
never
hard
get
question
this
for
approved.
Harris?
So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you
Abortion before
rightly
immigration.
mentioned, nowhere in
Hilarious.
America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald
woman
Trump's
card.
abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening
losing
in our
every
country?
religious
Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers, to go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable.
1% of cases.
And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I have to respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing—
I thought they weren't allowed notes.
You should ask. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you
That's
answer the
problem.
question? Would you
She won't answer.
Roe v. Wade,
She won't answer.
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the governor, former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
That's true.
Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board.
They had to
in
do
this
abortion
country.
before immigration.
Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration.
This'll be
this
good.
past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight
didn't
is,
have to do
why did
anything
the
with—
administration
All right, I'll
wait
shut
until
up.
6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns,
Meaningless.
drugs,
Absolutely
and human
meaningless.
beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill, which I supported.
Here we go.
And
We're gonna do
that
this
bill
again.
would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow
Kill
of
her on
fentanyl
this.
coming
Kill
into
her
the
on
United
this.
States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in
Your
guns, drugs,
original
and human
executive
beings. But you know
order
what
made the
happened
problem
to
in
that
the
bill?
first place.
Donald Trump
shut
got
up.
on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes
Knockout
at a
blow.
time where the people of our country actually need a leader who
comes
engages
the
in
knockout.
solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And
Knock
I'll
her
tell you
out.
something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And
Oh,
I'm
'cause
going
it's
to
not
actually do
important, right?
something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch.
We need people at your rallies. You
will
won't get
see
buses.
during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early.
Oh,
out of
talk about the buses.
exhaustion and
Talk about the
boredom.
buses.
And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your
She
and
came
your
after him. He needs
desires.
to-
And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying
Yes.
them to be there. And then showing them in a different light. So
And she's like-
she can't talk
she's
about
crying.
that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. what they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield,
and she just smiles like
they're
that
eating
bitchy
the
smile.
dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
Yes,
they're eating,
yes, yes.
They're eating the pets.
Why are you
of the
laughing? That's
people
horrible.
that live
You laugh when
there.
animals get eaten?
And this is what's
You're a
happening
horrible person.
in our
Wow.
country, and it's a shame. As far as
I'm sorry,
rallies are
Albert.
concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase.
You think the people of
Make
Springfield are
America
lying?
Great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, will end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by
There's
individuals
interviews, you
within the
dumbass.
immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this-
seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say
This
my
is the
dog
bias.
was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city
This
manager.
is their culture. I mean,
but the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice
We'll
President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Horribly biased.
You talk about extreme. You know, this is, I think, one
She
of
tried
the
to hold back
reasons
the laugh.
why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney,
What about
and
Tulsi
John
Gabbard?
McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President
RFK Jr.?
Dick Cheney and Congress
Oh,
member
no.
Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a
What about the people
four-star
that work with
general,
you? They hate you.
has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never
There's
survive
people that say she's
another
miserable to
Trump
work with, and
term.
he's got to hit her on this.
And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they?
They're coping.
But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president, in history by far.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to talk about earlier, so let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S.
With local
military.
police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah, it is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris,
FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
You guys were right, I was wrong.
I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich. Coming from someone who has been prosecuted.
They're only fact-checking Trump.
For national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear, where each person stands on the issue of what is important about respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me. Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases. And then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place.
He said he likes gingers.
The United States
I'm not sure what that
Supreme Court
means.
recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting,
she does look like she's about to cry,
the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political
Then why didn't she do it against Hillary?
Enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris,
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation
we do have a lot
that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice
Yeah,
President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't.
I knew they were actually going to do this.
You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking.
No, you didn't.
I
They
have not
fact-checked
banned
it. You
fracking
lied.
as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work.
She doesn't even know what she's saying now.
Having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams.
This is a bunch of nothing.
My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure
like when you try and
of the
put people in
leader
prison because you don't like them?
is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up.
Did Willie Brown lift you up?
That president.
President Trump, your response?
First of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn Queens.
$400 million.
And a great
What a
father,
lie.
and I learned a lot from him, but I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
He did it!
She went out in Minnesota.
I'm speaking.
And wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election,
she looked
fracking
lost.
in Pennsylvania will
She
end
looked lost.
on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up.
She's starting to lose her luster.
Because they had no choice, because
She's
the
starting to get
prices of
demoralized.
energy were quadrupling and
Knock her
doubling.
out.
You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead. We'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400,
President
500
You need to put it in
acres of
Arizona.
desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get to.
environment, as
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the
I'm
peaceful
surprised they're not doing any
transfer of
commercials.
power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis.
Here's
Mr.
the
President, on
January
January
6th.
6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world
She's about
saw
to
what
cry.
played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling
What
your
about the
supporters
peaceful?
to go home.
Peaceful?
Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people?
What about
that she
BLM?
allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those
Right.
people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when
ask
are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that
doesn't
burned
want to talk
down
about
Minneapolis going to be
6th.
prosecuted? Or in Seattle, they went into Seattle, they took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing
Bring
to
up
do with
Zuckerberg.
that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers.
Pelosi.
They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago.
And
Her
she admitted
daughter
it.
has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
On
The
purpose.
question was
She
about
wanted
you
it as
as
bad as
president,
possible.
not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also
Were you
an
in
acting
Minnesota
senator. I was
during
there.
BLM?
And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's
Here comes
capital.
the destiny
on that day,
argument.
140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died.
Oh, now you
And
care about law
understand,
enforcement? I thought they were all racist.
Former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville.
Oh, here we go again.
There was a mob of people carrying
Here's the lie
tiki
again.
torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate.
Very fine people.
And what did the president
Here's the lie
then
again.
at the time say?
Again.
There were fine people on each side.
Again with the
Let's
lie.
remember
They won't stop lying.
that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia,
The moderators need to call that out.
the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th
The moderators need to do
was,
this right now.
I say, we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to
You're right, we're
turn
not going
the
back to
page.
Biden.
And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to
So
stand
we can get 50% inflation?
for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law,
Stand
and to
for
end
illegal
the
immigration?
chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election
Did you like the
there
outcome
will
in
be a
2016 when you
bloodbath.
blamed Russia?
If this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking, let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville,
Right.
that story has been, as you would say, debunked.
Snopes.
Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next
was, like,
issue
crying
because it really
there.
brings us
was
this into
crying.
focus. Truth in these times that we're living in.
She
Mr.
started
President,
crying.
for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
Yeah, you could tell she was even admitting that was a good one.
Acknowledging that you lost in 2020.
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say that.
sarcastically.
Bring up
you know
Zuckerberg.
that. It was said, oh,
Please
we lost
bring
by
up
a whisker.
Zuckerberg.
That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls.
Zuckerberg and
we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
No
Republican.
judge looked at it.
And said
They
they
said
Bring up
we
the
didn't have
Zuckerberg.
standing. That's the other thing.
Bring up
They
the
said
big
we didn't
tech.
have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker. So he still believes he did not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump.
Here we go with this crap
with
again.
military leaders, some of whom
Because he doesn't
with
simp
you,
for NATO?
and they say you're a disgrace.
Does he not simp for NATO enough
And when
so they don't like
you then
him?
talk in this way in a presidential
He
debate
doesn't worship
and
NATO.
deny
I know.
what over
Europe
and
doesn't like
over
him.
again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election. It leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply
Why don't you do an
troubling, and the
interview
American
solo?
people deserve better.
Is that presidential to do an
I'll give
interview?
you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago, it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy.
Right.
He got 14 million votes, and they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now she's running. I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm
President,
okay with
zero
it.
interviews.
because
Your time is
I
up.
think we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
Cut him
Got a lot
off.
more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war.
Oh, she didn't have to respond to
Hostages
that.
were still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis. Many of them young
The
people
liberals aren't
who
gonna
were
like this
simply
one.
attending a concert. Women were horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters.
far leftists are gonna hate
Because
this.
it is also true, far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. Children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone. It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people.
They're both simping for Israel.
He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known
How is it possible
that he
he's weak if there were no wars?
dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely
That's totally
well
false.
known
I don't even know what she's
that
talking
these
about.
dictators and autocrats are
Exchanged
rooting
love letters?
for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and
Well,
favors.
then why didn't he invade
and
anywhere?
That is why.
Why didn't Putin invade anywhere when he
So
was president?
many military leaders who you
What
have
sense
worked
does that
with
make, honey?
have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is
Why doesn't
not
Trump tell her to fix it?
consistently
I know, that's something
weak
you should be
and
saying.
wrong on
Vice
national
President
security,
Harris.
including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're the ones, and she's the one that caused it, that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it because what he's gotten away
She
with
seems flattered.
is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me.
She's blushing
The
over the
leaders
endorsement.
of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic
they
ABC
cut
News
him off.
presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
So guys, so does the debate go to 10:30? Does the debate go to 10:30 or 11? It might go to 11. They went an hour without a break there. She is favored in the debate and she's still losing. Yeah, this debate went pretty much exactly how I thought it was going to go, at least at the start. You're not VP, why not fix it? I know, but you want her to respond to that. You want her to be forced to respond to "You're not VP, fix it now." Trump is kicking your ass. Guys, listen, this is what's going to happen. It goes till 11. Yeah, it makes sense. This is exactly what's going to happen. All the Republicans are going to say Trump won. The narrative for Trump is that he's angry. I know that. Oh, it's only 90 minutes? There's no point in doing a poll, dude. These are all Trump supporters. Let's be honest. Come on. Well, obviously he was going to lose abortion. Guys, I do have to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry. I do want to react to this. I'm going to give a full reaction after it, but I do have to. Yeah, I didn't have to shit, man. I didn't have to shit. Trump isn't doing very well. Dude, the thing that I was pissed at Trump at, I'm not going to lie. I was pissed at Trump. Talk about Zuckerberg. It's such a layup. Zuckerberg gave Democrats $400 million and then just admitted in a letter that Democrats manipulated the 2020 election. Zuckerberg said in a letter that Democrats manipulated the 2020 election. Ooh. But no, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, Trump is, I didn't realize how biased the moderators would be. I mean, I don't think Trump's losing. But listen, again, this is Republican versus Democrat. Let's be honest. I don't think this is, obviously nearly as obvious as the Biden versus Trump debate it was. We're going to have to see all of the reaction and everything like that. Election odds were -120 to -110. I mean, that's a very slight move. Who's winning over independents? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see at the post-debate polls. Trump's doing well. She's going to win the debate poll like 70-30. I don't think so. I mean, I don't see how Trump's losing, honestly. I don't understand. Moderators, yeah, moderators. I didn't realize the moderators were going to be this bad. How much did you like Trump's Kamala as I'm speaking? It was an epic moment. It was an epic moment. Yeah, I did see that. 100% cover. I saw that, what they were saying about how he covers Harris versus Trump.
Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
David Muir.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize.
Harris keeps saying lines that already debunked Trump. He
I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well.
Well, his mic's muted.
Good relationship, and
guys,
they
Poly Market is manipulated.
President.
It gets
okay,
manipulated.
They respect me.
I'll talk
they
about
don't
it
respect
after.
Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left, I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war? Yes,
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Because they installed you
I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually
Why does Zelensky say he has a good relationship with Trump then?
A few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands
Guys, don't
as
be
an
manipulated by
independent and free
Poly-Market. That's a bunch of
country. If Donald
liberals,
Trump were
big
president,
whale liberals
Putin
putting
would be
money on
sitting in
Harris to
Kyiv
try
right
and
now.
manipulate it like she's winning
And
the debate.
understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland.
What's sad
and
is
why
that
don't you
there are
tell the
voters that will believe the lies
800,000
Kamala
Polish
said.
Americans
Well, I mean, that's always
right
gonna
here
happen.
in Pennsylvania
It
how
is
quickly
politics.
you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour.
Is a crazy
I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier. And please, I'll give you a minute here.
Well, they view it as
Putin
different
would be
because it's not.
sitting in Moscow.
It's not
and
a
he wouldn't have
technical
lost
invasion.
300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please.
But
He
what
would
is
have been
the-
sitting
Quiet,
in
please.
Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that.
The DNC
And
is
eventually,
paying to
maybe he'll
influence
use them,
people
and
with
maybe
the
he
poly
hasn't been
market by
that
betting on
threatening,
Harris.
But he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about.
There's
Nobody
no
likes
way
to
it's
talk
clear that
about it.
she's winning this
but
debate.
Just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the
But what
kind
is
of
her plan to
talent we
end it?
have with
There
her.
is no plan.
She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something.
Yeah,
you said she
Dave
went to
has-
negotiate
Dave
with
has
Vladimir
been
Putin.
very nice
Vice
to
President
her.
Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one.
You've just blatantly lied
When
like
I
3
went to
times. This is what
meet
these
with
liberals
President
do when
Zelensky,
they
I've now
lose
met with
debates.
him
They
over
have to say
5
you lied.
times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international
Standing on
rules
the
and
border?
norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very
Like when you
much
got
what
0
is at
votes, that was
stake
really
here.
democratic.
The President of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility.
It was really
In terms
significant
of
when you got 0
ensuring
votes.
that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan.
Oh, NATO
it
has
came
to
up in
pay?
the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a
I thought those
poignant
countries
moment
just-
today on Capitol Hill, honoring the
according to liberals,
soldiers
they're
who
just allowed
died
to get
in the chaotic
security from
withdrawal
the
from
US.
Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And
In
as
the
a
worst way
result,
possible.
America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got
After the 13 that
to
died?
where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president,
Yeah, we gotta
as
get out of
president,
Afghanistan.
invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States.
It's okay for Biden to go to Camp David for 10 days.
To be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind.
leave
And
the
we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now
She
to
looks
race and
stunned.
politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years
Oh,
ago
God.
when she happened to turn black. And now she
Hilarious
wants
that
to
they
be
bring
known
this up.
as
Of
black.
course they bring this up.
I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
Yeah, here's
I
the
don't,
bites.
and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care.
Yes.
You make a big
Yes.
deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
Yes.
But those were your words, so I'm
I
asking
don't know.
you.
He shuts
I
it
don't know.
down.
I mean, all I can
Thank
say is
God.
I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
He just shut it down.
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who
It's a
wants to
tragedy
be
that we've
president
ruined the
who
country
has
because of you.
consistently, over the course of his career,
The border's a tragedy.
attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was
Trump had a great answer there. It just shut that dude down.
Land, he owned land,
shut
he owned
that-
buildings, and he
That-
was investigated
The moderator.
because he refused to rent
Now she's
property
rambling
to
again.
black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5
Here it is
young
again. Play the
black
greatest
and
hits.
Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same
All
individual.
right, bring up her press. Bring
who
up her
spread
Willie Brown then.
birther lies
We're
about
gonna have
the
to do it
first
then.
black president of the United States. And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other
But you
a
didn't travel to the
friend.
border?
We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me,
It is.
can
This
we
one's
please
really
just
biased,
have
man.
discourse about
I give CNN
how
credit
we're going
looking
to
at this.
invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people. knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
This is all so fake.
Thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump,
It's
this
all
is now
so
your
fake.
third
It's
time.
jargon slogans.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with things like what she just said. Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up,
I
Lindsay.
want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly,
He should have moved it
I
on.
am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for
She
our
got the
country.
questions before, and I
One who
think that was
believes
confirmed.
in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American
They talked about the
people.
economy at the start.
I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans.
Then do something.
And let's compare the plans. I have a plan.
Yes,
To
you
give
copied it from
startup
Biden's website, we
businesses
know.
$50,000 tax deduction to pursue their ambitions, their innovation,
What about the price
their
gouging?
ideas, their hard work.
Oh, she doesn't want to talk about that.
I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's
Did you endorse
life
the border wall?
to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development. I have a plan
To build
that
the
is
border
about
wall?
allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation I believe,
Unrealized
David,
gains
that
tax?
people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page.
Vice President
and move
Harris.
really hasn't done
Thank
that
you. Let's
tonight.
turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She
please.
has a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
She
what
has
is
If you have a
plan
plan,
on
why
not
won't you
allow
talk about it in
fracking
an interview?
Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
Thank you,
what
Mr.
her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond
No,
because
Trump,
the
President
former
Trump.
president has
No,
said
I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry. We're
I just
going
need
to move
respond
on, Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this is
multiple
now
times.
your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that. You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month,
I think
you
this
said,
is going
quote,
till
we're
11.
working on it.
Yeah, it has
so
to be.
tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the
This
Democrats
poly-market is
came
being
up,
manipulated.
They wouldn't vote
It's
for
clear.
it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not-too-distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option.
Back to the middle.
What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private healthcare options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
What about lying
As it
about
relates to
abortion
the
and him wanting to
Affordable Care
ban it
Act,
federally?
Understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate. And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes?
Paul is a gun owner.
And thankfully,
they wanted to be more
as I've been
relatable.
Vice President, and we
Probably
over
her
the
husband.
last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act. We have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Past
President
prologue
Harris, thank
in terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot
She made a mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has
Right, it's why you wanted to ban
experienced
fracking.
these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American
she wants fracking.
automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Oh, I guess it only goes till 10:45. Does it only go till 10:45 then?
The ABC News president.
Trump is trending back up in Poly Market after the manipulation that people fell for. Trump is losing. No, he's not. The moderators are a lot worse than CNN. I am a little bit, I guess maybe not surprised, but I didn't think the moderators would be this bad. Trump is definitely winning the second. Well, the second half was more of the less hot button topics, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're going to get. A lot of people saying different things. I don't see how people think he's doing bad. Well, they're liberals. Obviously, they think he's doing bad. You can tell she's inexperienced at debating. Well, I mean, they did report that she basically memorized everything. I feel it's a tie. Trump's still gonna landslide. Yeah, I mean, that's what you'll get with this type of stuff. With these debates, they're mainly that it's, the Republicans think Trump won, the Democrats think Harris won, and we'll have to see what the independents say. Next debate should be on Sky News Australia. That's not going to happen. I have seen them on YouTube. They have a lot of... They're like a Republican thing, though. Who's winning on Poly Market? Harris. She did all right. She didn't crash. Yeah, she did better than Biden. That's what they're going to say. Loving the coverage and the restraint in commenting. But yeah, you know, kept over-talking too much. Yeah, I'm trying not to over-talk. I do get people say that I do over-talk. I'm trying to be better about not over-talking. I know people want to listen to the debate and everything like that. Normally, I'll just over-talk with Harris more so than Trump, unless, you know, I think Trump should have mentioned Zuckerberg. What chances do you think Trump has to win president? Like right now, my chances, I think they're very high. I think Trump's going to win for sure. He needs to bring up the 51 FBI. I know, dude. I don't know what that was, man. I mean, that would be one of the things. I think it's a missed opportunity. When you've got something on a silver platter like that that just came out, that's got to be mentioned. I don't think neither one had a good debate. I mean, it's all subjective. You know, are you a Democrat or a Republican? It's going to depend on that, who you think's. Trump up in Polymarket? Yeah, up from like maybe 5 minutes ago. But I mean, I think Polymarket was heavily manipulated. Listen, Polymarket is like, oh, you know, Harris won the debate. Why? Because Polymarket said so. Well, who's betting on Polymarket? These are Democratic whales. Remember that Polymarket was manipulated about 3 days ago. I remember somebody this actually happened 3 days ago. Someone said, whoa, Trump went down 4% in Polymarket. How'd that happen? Well, it was because there's another prop you can do where it's like, will Kamala Harris or Trump be leading on X day? And so if it's looking like Trump's going to be leading, the odds for Harris leading are going to be low. And then what they'll do is they'll bet a bunch of money on Harris and then it'll bring her up. It's all manipulation. But that's what...
Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
That's something that it's perception.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us, and we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition
I agree.
of the American
MSM's
people, which is why I intend to create
with the
an
mods,
opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living.
This is all meaningless.
I believe in what we can do together. That is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things.
Here it is.
Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like We're not going to frack. We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News
I wasn't
presidential
surprised by
debate
those two
from
closing
here
statements.
in Philadelphia at
I
the
wasn't
National
surprised at all by that.
Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay
Pretty standard.
Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
Thank you. And
Oh,
we
this
are
spin is going to be
here
crazy. I don't even know if I
live
should do this to
on ABC
myself.
With our post-debate comments.
I don't know if I
I'm
should do this to
Martha
myself.
Raddatz. It was a lively debate.
I might
from
want to go to
the
CNN and
economy
actually
to
watch their
abortion
reaction.
to Afghanistan.
These
They
people
had
are
it all,
old and
it was a-
they're done. I don't really care what they have to say. I do want to see how they spin this. This will be great. Well, this is what I'll say. I can pretty much guarantee. I do want to actually get some reaction on X. We can get some reaction live. Can we get reaction to this? Ben Shapiro going at the moderators. Going at the moderators. Yeah, they're talking about it being a 3v1. White House contact tells me ABC now worried about being shut out of the Trump White House should he win following these ambush tactics. Moderators. I mean, seeing Dave Portner, I don't even know why he's talking about this. That's it. I'm voting for Trump. Yeah, they're just going after the moderators, it looks like. Oh, I thought they were streaming. Yeah, they'll probably be streaming some reaction. Who won? I think it's definitely it's to me this is definitely Trump. People are going to say Trump won. Harris people are going to say Harris won. They kept cutting off Trump. Well, they said 3 or 4 times that they made a note to say things when he would say something, oh, it's false, and then Harris did the exact same thing. And I even said during one of the times, I was like, they need to make a note that she's lying there, and of course they didn't say it. The problem is, what they'll do is they'll focus on it, and they'll say, just to clarify, what you just said was not true. But then they don't do it to Harris. That's the problem. Real talk, this changes no one's minds. I know, that's going to be the narrative. Kamala won, but I don't think she made herself look a whole lot better. I don't think much is going to change. And I know you're, I've seen you in the chat, man. I respect your opinion too. If you think Harris won, I mean, I respect that. But I mean, I don't think I saw anything to where Harris won, or, I mean, I still just don't hear any actual policy. Trump is getting killed on Polymarket. Yeah, it's manipulated. You realize that, right? they're trying to influence your opinion. I know Harris had they both were, but it's just all such bullshit. Like nothing's ever going to change with her. It's the same thing as Biden. Live betting odds, they're both at 49%. Why are the odds on Polymarket blowing up? It's because liberal whales are betting on Kamala to try and influence your opinion about the debate. Any thoughts on the whole debate? I wasn't surprised. I thought there were a few moments that Trump could have really... This is going to be the narrative. I know this is going to be the narrative. Trump was too negative. That's going to be their narrative. Trump sounds, oh, he's negative. He's an old man. I heard people saying that in the debate, too. What is there, no freaking reaction to this from CNN? You know they're going to say she won. I wanted to see what their reaction was. Oh, God. And then this doesn't work all of a sudden? Dude, this ad blocker is a dog shit. Look at this clown.
Not about Joe Biden, not about herself, but about Donald Trump, and that led to her advantage. So again, many of the surrogates are coming in right now. Governors, senators from different parties. We're going to be talking to them throughout the night. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio right now.
All right, Tom, thanks. Let's bring in Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. He's a Democrat representing the Harris campaign.
Well, I mean, who
thank
gives
you
a
for
shit
being
about
here.
this then? I want to hear what the analysts have to say.
She's trying to reach this very small group of undecided voters, independents who may not like all of her policies, who may be interested in some of the things.
But I
that
mean,
Donald
what
Trump
did she
stands
say
for,
of any
but she's making
substance
the
that
case
is
to
really
them.
different?
She
I
doesn't
mean,
care.
you want to know the other thing that was a problem? You want to know the other thing that was a problem for Trump? Zero mention of the one interview. You've got to talk about that. That's so important. She was talking about being presidential. You've done one interview. What are you talking about? You've done one interview. You're talking about being presidential. You really think you're up for the job. You didn't win a single vote, and you've done one interview with Tim Walz right next to you, and he looked like a lapdog third grader sitting there waiting to be pet. That should have been mentioned. I mean, I don't know what of substance did she say that was really good. Trump should have said, he should have brought up Shapiro. Yeah, that could have been another attack line. Trump should have said you endorsed the wall too. He should have said that as well. What topic were you surprised that wasn't covered? I think they pretty much were all covered. There were points that I was surprised that Trump did not bring up, though. That's what I would say. And you know what? They could have easily brought that up as well, but they didn't bring any of it up. They said, why aren't you, the moderators could have said, this is a big topic. Why are you hiding from the media? Yeah, she was getting teary-eyed there towards the end. He did have some good, when he said, I'm speaking, that was a moment. That was a moment. That was a good moment. Overall, the debate will not matter. No, I know. They'll say we're coping, but no, that is true. There was a lot of things that he could have said and never said. Well, those are big ones. What about the Zuckerberg? That was huge. And they were talking about it too. And he's like, for example, you want to talk about manipulated with the election. We just had a liberal who donated $400 million to the Democrats admit that the FBI told big tech to censor a story that negatively affected Joe Biden and was the #1 biggest October surprise. So that should have been brought up. Didn't really hear any policy. She has an earpiece. I mean, maybe under her earrings. Harris appealed to her voter base of never Trumpers. Yeah, I mean, but all those people are always going to hate Trump anyways. Well, you guys saw what she was doing. I think she kind of stopped doing it because maybe the topics were more boring. But like her whole thing was she would be really animated when Trump would say something that I guess she didn't like. She would like have a sarcastic smile, like a real sarcastic smile, or like they have her doing those mannerisms or whatever. This was a nothing burger, the debate. She looked scared the whole time. She looked like she was about to cry the whole time. I don't know if it was from the camera or what. Trump should have mentioned Hunter Biden more. Yeah, I mean, but what they'll say is, oh, it's desperation. She's not running. He's not running against you. You're not running against Biden. That's what they'll say. Anyone who says Kamala won, please tell me how so. They'll say vibes, and it's all fucking fake bullshit. Oh, she's more positive than him. That's why she won. Why didn't he lead with the closing statement off the top? That was my point originally. I said he should have said that if she was going to do this, why hasn't she done it, to make her answer that. But he did it with his closing statement.
And they have, I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy.
Yeah, there it is.
If she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics. And he
that
taught
is
her
true.
well.
Look at this.
But when you look at what she's done to our country,
This is what she
and
was
when
doing
you
the
look
whole
at
time
these
in the first half of the
millions
debate.
and millions of
They told
people
her to
that
stop
are
doing
pouring
it.
into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're
Jesse Walters said it well. Democrats think she did well. Republicans will say he did well. Yeah. Yeah, we certainly didn't get a Biden-type debate. To be fair, it's a strong closing statement. I know, but you wanted to respond to that. It's such a pathetic thing. Trump did. I know. I don't think Trump really insulted her that crazy, honestly. Yeah, she didn't mention anything about unrealized gains. That's funny. She didn't mention anything about price gouging. I thought that was one of her top policies that she was talking about was price gouging. Of course, it sung like it floated like a lead balloon, so she didn't talk about it. A second debate was already scheduled. Wait, did that just happen? Because I don't think that's true. It hasn't officially been scheduled. Trump got so angry the second half. Well, he was pretty angry throughout the entire thing. Trump had better moments in the first half, but the second half was kind of more like in terms of political sense, it was more boring topics because it was like it was Medicare, things like that. There's no sense in me doing a poll, man. It's like Elon Musk doing a poll. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Trump's going to win the poll. We know that. Assuming there's a second debate, I feel Trump might be playing some 4D chess and holding. I don't know about that. I don't think he's really holding many cards, honestly. I don't think he would take that risk. It's such an important debate. There's no way you hold cards like that. That reminds me of like football where teams, oh, we're holding plays back, you know? Yeah, but there might be another debate on NBC, they're saying. September 20th. Really? That's the date? September 25th? On which network? Yeah, I know the VP debate's October 1st. There isn't another debate. There might be. We don't know yet. Yeah, Polymarket is manipulated. Remember, it was manipulated 3 days ago. But it doesn't even matter, honestly, if it's manipulated or not. It's tied. ABC, way too biased. I know that. I mean, I went to just the first reactions, and there was a bunch of conservatives, you know, angry. Charlottesville, they mentioned that again, yeah. I mean, Trump needs to say that Snopes. Worst attack on... No, well, you want to know what they'll say is they'll say 9/11 was not about attacking democracy, so that's how they're able to word that like that. You think Kamala will want another debate down? Well, if your angle is she won the debate, why would she want another one? Why wouldn't you just say, well, if I won, I want to quit while I'm ahead, you know? So, I mean, there's strategies to it if you think that's why. Tennessee, Oklahoma, that'll be a good game. I'd say Tennessee. Next debate should be on Fox. She won't do it. That's another thing he should have brought up. It's embarrassing. She won't debate on Fox. Again, it's just like the arrogance she has is so crazy. I'm just, you know, it's ridiculous. Yeah, they didn't fact check her on any of it. It is sad. It is biased. I mean, there even liberals have to say it's biased. It is biased. September 25th, NBC, but she won't show up to do it. We'll have to see. Trump did the most damage. Harris overperformed expectations. I don't know, man. I mean, she's been a politician for a while. I don't think... I mean, she did better than Biden, if you want me to say that. It's like, how low were the expectations? ABC ran a poll for the debate and had 92% chance Trump won. Was it on YouTube, though? Because that's a biased poll. Her mic was not muted the first half. Yeah, but I don't think it was really that big of a deal. I mean, I thought it was muted. Thoughts on the importance of the VP debate? I feel like I don't think the VP debate's all that important, unfortunately. Benny Johnson says Trump did incredible. Yeah, I can't agree. I don't think Trump did incredible. I mean, I think, you know, some people are saying that Harris won. I really don't think so. But, yeah, this is a pretty crazy graph. Virginia's governor endorsed...
and made her case for lift.
Yeah, this was something that they always talk about, this clip. They barely cut Kamala off at all. Well, part of that is her just not trying to respond as well, to be fair. But no, they were very biased. I know, when he said, I'm speaking, dude, it was like a surreal moment. God, I need to find that clip. That clip has got to be on here. Maybe Benny Johnson tweeted it out. Or what did JD Vance say?
Effectively echoing platitude after platitude after platitude. The American people can't pay their grocery bills on platitudes. They can't.
This is correct. That's exactly what she was doing.
Put their kids in a house on platitudes. And Kamala Harris had a lot to say, but very little actual substance behind it for how she's going to lower grocery prices, secure the border, and make housing more affordable in this country. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She can't run on her record, and she apparently can't run on much of her plans either because it's.
Yeah, no. Do you think the debate will affect the polls? I would say no. Trump lost the debate bad. Hope it doesn't affect. He didn't lose the debate. That's the liberal gaslighting me. I mean, if you want to argue that maybe that if you're a liberal that maybe he lost the debate, but come on, if you think he lost the debate bad, you're a liberal. I mean, there was no crazy moment where she got him. Harris was she did look a little bit nervous.
Do all these wonderful things. Why?
Mandatory buyback, but now, where's that moment, though? I don't think we're going to find that moment. What is the difference between Trump basically? How is it basically claiming it when he's talked to both Putin and Zelensky and they've said they'll have conversations with him? How is that basically? That's absurd. How is that? It's not basically. I mean, he's possibly going to do it. He's talked to both Zelensky and Putin about ending the war. They've already had conversations about it, so it's not baseless. So I don't understand what you're talking about. She lost big time with all the lies. Well, I mean, Fox is saying Harris won big. Well, that's bullshit. Trump did not lose. It's on a YouTube short.
Trump legend status.
Dude, why does this dude
Can't argue.
She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Does that sound familiar? Oh, man. You see the part where he said Kamala put out? I mean, I watched the entire thing. What do you mean put out, like, as in with the Willie Brown stuff? Benny boy? Dude's always got, like, the awkwardness before. He's always got the awkwardness. Harris smiling when talking about Trump being prosecuted is a bad look. She's feeding into the narrative.
For national security crimes.
Well, did Luntz do a poll? This tweet will make Trump supporters lose their minds, but kudos to the moderators for covering a wider range of topics than most debates. Perhaps because it was the only debate this cycle. Well, I mean, they were biased. I mean, I think everyone has to admit that.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or
But
abused.
why would this not happen? That's what I'm trying to wonder. When you import migrants from third world countries, do you think it's just going to be a kumbaya? Like, can we not at least be honest about this? Like, what do you, like, oh my God. Taylor Swift endorses, she's not going to endorse anyone, I don't think. I know people keep saying that. Taylor and Brittany Mahomes rift. Who cares? Taylor backtracked. I mean, who cares, man? Both of them got digs in. It was good times for. Well, I will say they did do a longer debate than Biden and Trump did. They went like basically an hour 40-ish if you factor in, maybe an hour 35 if you factor in the breaks, or maybe it was an hour 30, but it was longer. It felt like. Polymarket lowered Trump 3 points. Well, Polymarket didn't do that. Democratic shills did that. They dumped a bunch of money on Harris to influence public opinion. That would be my guess. The fact that it would move that quickly, that fast, come on. There's no definitive, oh, gotcha moment that's like, oh, she crushed Trump. That doesn't exist in this debate. It was Democratic operatives at around 9 o'clock, 9:15, right when the debate started. They put a bunch of money in for Harris to influence public opinion. I mean, it started moving at like 9:10. Yeah, people have got to stop lying about that. Can show the video of the guy. I mean, that video has been circulating forever. I mean, I'll see if I can find it again. It was a 2-minute video, though. It's not like a quick thing. Let's see this. Trump makes a point that I hope everyone hears. Russia has nuclear weapons. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised Trump didn't talk more about that, because that's something that liberals never even, they never addressed the fact that, you know, there's no policy. I really wish Trump would have just said, all right, what are you going to do? How is the war going to end exactly? They have no answer. They're just going to keep funding Ukraine. Next for the Fox News debate. I don't wait, is the VP debate on Fox News or no? Which part of the debate did Trump do best in? I don't know. There were a few good moments, a few things that he mentioned that I wanted him to say. The I'm speaking moment. The mods never questioned the crimes illegal immigrants done to women. No, that would be racist. Ernie, that would be racist, man. You can't talk about that. Come on. That's racist, man. Come on. Even if, yeah, Swift would only have like girls, like younger girls that might come out and vote. That would be who it would be. They would just follow her. Swift, you're stop with the trolling on that, man. Seriously, it's dumb. Trump answers to the race. I know. Thankfully, that was 100% one of his people told him to say that, which is fine. I'm thankful for it. But yeah, that 100%. He shut that down, and then she really didn't have an answer after that. She was going to do the whole guilt trip thing, how he's racist and everything, and she kind of didn't have an answer because he shut it down, thankfully. Thoughts on the body language? That's a good question. It was very calculated, very calculated. Because she couldn't do the I'm speaking, she couldn't do the interruption. They think the next best thing is to, you know, do the funny body language, which I think is pretty weak, but that was their strategy, obviously. It does start to make me wonder if that debate was more of a setup, because they did interrupt pretty frequently in this one. CNN said it was a tie. Is that true? Trump had an epic closing speech. Yeah, I mean, I thought he should have brought out the "you haven't done anything" earlier. 92%. Trump won with 92% in terms of it. People are telling me Trump won the debate according to independents. And that they rigged Polymarket with manipulation. This was rough. I think Trump won slightly, but ABC was a joke. Yeah, ABC was real bad. Very sad to see. Certainly, I don't think it's 92% Trump over Harris in terms of Trump winning. Was that a YouTube poll, though? Trump is not the greatest debater. I agree with you there. But he made the points he needed to make and seemed like a more serious leader. Winning the post-debate spin is important. Trump's campaign months emphasized 3-on-1. Well, you know what, Steve? I have just seen a wall of Republican influencers talking about 3-on-1. So that is clearly what they're doing. You're right. I thought it was my best debate ever. Trump reflecting on it. Especially thinks it was 3-on-1. Trump did not want to shake Kamala's hand. At the beginning, that was kind of awkward. Yeah, she did go over to him. Thought she seemed of course she's condescending. Trump will have a lot more good, right, exactly. That's another thing. It's like, where's her good clips? I don't understand it. Anyone have post-debate polls that are like from a reputable source at all? Do you think that Trump walked into a trap coming on ABC for the... Well, he has to. I mean, he's got no choice. They won't debate on conservative networks. He should not have fell for a traps, but I think he had a lot of good parts. You mean points? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what traps he fell for, but there were a few things that he shouldn't have said, like just dragging on conversation when it didn't need to be drug on longer. It's too early for serious polls. Yeah, but they do snap polls after. Leading report has Trump leading on polls. Dude, we got it. Leading report. Well, I mean, dude, come on. I mean, this... well, it's over. Disappointingly, no hit on Kamala. You're right. 100% you're right. She didn't talk about taxes. Trump needs to force that conversation. And she weasels her way out of it and then talks about all the government handouts she's going to give. How's that going to happen? Is more money magically going to appear? I think it was 50-50 and the only loser is ABC. That's an understandable take. That's a fair take. Trump should have brought up, yeah, of course, why she wouldn't debate on Fox. It's such a coward move, especially from somebody that didn't even win fair and square the primary and was installed. She lied on almost everything. Well, they both are going to lie a lot during it. Well, now it actually is, The next debate is not going to be on Fox News. She won't agree to it.
Of where things do stand in the race. She did.
Kamala Harris appears to be writing notes. Well, that is true. Dude, Alex Jones comes out with a poll. Of course. Are we going to get a new poll from it? Well, I don't do polls. I don't do polls, man. Trump is an excellent debater. I think there's things that Trump could improve on. Swifted, yeah. I mean, dude, Mark, if you start seeing people multiple times say it, you can just get rid of them. It's just, it's an unfortunate situation. You can just cut the fat. You can trim the fat off of the chat. Political polls, that account, really? Someone needs to fact check. Well, she probably, dude, probably her husband is a gun owner or something. She tries to appear more, she has to appear more for the people. Sorry, Trump was not excellent, but Kamala was clearly scripted, and in my opinion, she knew the questions were coming. Well, yeah, I mean, they had said she was preparing a literal script with cue cards. It was her night. That's what Fox said. It was her night. Come on. Trump should hold a rally in Springfield, Ohio. That'd be funny. Why am I banned off your chat? Well, how are you banned? If you were banned, I wouldn't see your message, buddy. She bodied him. Did CNN tell you that? I'm sorry. I gotta start trolling these people back. They are eating pets. Why don't you go live with the migrants if you like them so much, man? Go live with them, man. Come on. That's the least you can do. You got too much white guilt. How unfair were the moderators? Well, they were obviously unfair. They were trying to make Trump look bad. They didn't fact check her. She said hundreds of things that were false. There was even a moment during it that there was a moment during it where I was like, okay, they're gonna say something about this. They never once said anything about her. They said 4 or 5 different times, I just have to fact check that, or I just have to say this is proven false. They said it at least 3 times. They said it 3 times. I'm a Trump fan, but I think Kamala won in the sense that he didn't land a huge blow. The average dummy. Yeah, no. I agree with you. The average dummy won't examine the facts the Dems count on. I don't think it was anything crazy, but dude, let's be honest. I don't think he really landed a huge blow against Biden. Biden just couldn't talk. Biden couldn't talk. A lot of duplicates accounts. You got to ban them if they're duplicate accounts. I didn't think she was that stronger than I thought. I didn't think she was that strong. In terms of what? What did she? What was her big policy? What was her big? I mean, it's all just political bullshit. Like, We're going to be better. You're in office right now. What are you talking about? Why don't you actually address the fact that you're in office right now, and why can't you do anything when you're in office? There's just nothing. How long before the first snap polls? Normally they're out like right now, or maybe in an hour or so. Opportunity economy. I know, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Trump being the more senior candidate is finally a good thing. Any big stories from now until the election will be out about Kamala. Oh, dude, Alex, he's not only the senior candidate, this is his third cycle. They've got nothing left on him. They've got nothing left. ABC said, no, ABC did not say Biden won that debate, did they? Come on. Swift actually did endorse, come on, what a bitch. What an absolute bitch. And Kelsey's a bitch boy as well. Kelsey's even a bigger bitch. But no, it did seem like there were a lot of people saying it. But I mean, wouldn't it be trending? I mean, why would it not be trending if it actually happened? So this was all a setup then. Oh, look at this fucking bullshit. Like many of you, this was all a setup. This was all a total setup. I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research. We can't do any research because listen, should I just read this? I just can't get through it. I'm not able to get through it. Now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on topics that matter to you. This is ChatGPT. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country. Recently, I was made aware of that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to his site. Well, no, that was a meme because your dumbass supporters are brain dead and we knew you were going to endorse Kamala. I'll be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I've done my research. I've made my choice. Your research is all yours with love and hope. Childless cat lady. But see, they say like childless cat lady like it's a flex. When you're 65 years old, you're going to be very, very sad, honey. Very sad. Very sad. You're going to be very lonely and sad. You can have all the money you want. You're going to be very sad. This was a setup. Wow. This is the exact same thing as Polymarket. They 1,000% manipulated Polymarket. 1,000. Listen. When you look at Polymarket, let's go to just the general average here. General average 49.49. What was that? I'm trying to remember what I went to. All right, so this is kind of how it moved. So you're gonna tell me at 9:15 that she won. So this is 20 minutes into the debate. This is 20 minutes into the debate. Oh, she won the debate by so much. She's gonna move up by 3%. I'm sorry if I missed some of these. What one's everyone's thoughts on who won? Like my South Carolina, if Trump. What is SC South Carolina? If Trump comment on. Oh, like your comment if Trump... I mean, dude, listen, these are a bunch of Trump supporters. They're going to say Trump won. This is manipulation with Taylor Swift as well. This is total manipulation. Well, you know what, guys? I have to go film a video and talk about how bad this is. People need to see this. Trump isn't the best debater. I'll agree with that. Trump's closing marks should have been his opening statement. I agree. He should have made her respond to that. I had said he should have done that. Harris won, but you will see nonsense videos. Well, I mean, listen, man. I think you made a lot of new accounts. You're going to have to make another new one. So go spend 20 minutes, you loser. Make a new account and come back and talk again. Did I respond to this? Yes. Any presidential... Yeah, I know, but this is totally manipulation. This is total manipulation. Watch me film a vid? Well, then it's not gonna... It doesn't get the good HD then when I'm streaming it, unfortunately. Loser trolls. No, go make your new account. Go make your new account. It's 11:30 at night. You have to go make a new account. You've got such a great life. Go make your new account really quickly. Your life is amazing. You constantly make new accounts, and then I ban you like a little cockroach. Your life's amazing, though. That's what, guys, very successful people make new accounts on Google and then get banned and then keep making them. They're the most successful people. Their net worth is over $20. How did she win? She didn't win shit. I mean, it's like, I watched the match. I don't know. Where did she win exactly? But it was all a setup with Taylor Swift. It was a total setup. Who do you still think's going to win the election? I think Trump's going to win the election. Dude, really successful people. A new model shows Trump won the debate by 50. What is that? What is WPRI? Oh man, what a pathetic setup. What a pathetic setup this entire thing was. What a total charade. Trump's ear looked amazing. Yeah, maybe I think they're going to try and do something about that. I don't know about Kamala having better sound bites, honestly. I think liberals would argue the opposite, honestly. They would say she has better policy. That's what they would say. No, I don't think she had audio earrings on. Trump needs to see the setup now, too. NBC saying he slayed in this debate. Come on. Set up to... NBC said he did good? I doubt that. I know, that's the thing. I mean, what are people expecting, actually? They were expecting a Biden moment. You know what? They were expecting a Biden moment, I think, and it didn't happen, so they think she won. That's the problem with the Biden stuff. Trump wins the election with, like, 312. Taylor Swift. Yeah, she's like childless cat lady. Well, enjoy when you're 70. I don't know if you're going to be saying, you don't know if you're going to be very happy when you're 70. We're not going to get a Fox debate. It's not going to happen. Trump should have asked her to explain her policies. He should have said, because she kept saying, like, this is my plan. Remember, she kept saying, this is my plan. Why not say, all right, if this is your plan and you keep saying it, why did you only have one interview? There's no answer for that. Trump shouldn't have accepted this. Well, that's what they'll do. They'll gaslight Trump and say, oh, he's backing out of the debate. He can't do it. When really they're the ones that backed out of the Fox News debate. You're an independent, can't stand her. So you're an independent voter and you thought she had a horrible debate. Yeah, that's what a lot of independents have come out and said now after all the rigging of Polymarket and the Taylor Swift. They're like, she's going to suck during the debate. So we have to time the endorsement from Swift. Yeah, you're right on that. CNN was fair, and they were not fair in this one. This was really sad. This is really sad that this has to happen. The one interview thing is done. That's not how politics work. You have to do interviews as part of the job. You have to be open with voters. I know for you liberals, that's hard. You just want communism. I'm just kidding, buddy. I do. I'm trolling a little bit. Independents won't go for her this after. Yeah, I see a lot of independents shifting to the right after this, honestly. Well, I mean, you can see the desperation. They had to time the Swift endorsement right after the debate. That just shows you how bad it is. Why didn't he mention you stole my idea, child tax credit? I know he should have mentioned the border wall. Her campaign ads have the border wall in it. Did call her. Yeah, I know. He called their father that, I think. What is Elon tweeting? Oh, I thought these were ads from I thought those were AI images from the debate. I mean, what did Tucker Carlson say about this, honestly? Was it he hasn't said anything yet? The media, like the ABC moderators tonight, will run an OP to influence the polls. But when it all shakes out in a couple of weeks, few remember tonight's debate. It's a blip on the radar. Trump did fine. Harris didn't pull a Biden. Yeah, I think this is a pretty fair post, honestly. I do think this is a pretty fair post. That's a pretty good summary. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it. That was a nice 3.5 hour stream. You know, I guess they did go a little bit longer than I thought they were going to. But obviously, there's a lot of reaction from this. I think this is a pretty fair, balanced post on what's happening and a lot of manipulation going on, things like that. So we're going to have to see what the general sentiment is. And, you know, I'm going to have to see what the network's saying, things like that, and be able to react to things like that. I'll react to it. Yeah, I tried to stay out of the whole debate and let them talk. I didn't really say much during the debate, you know. I know it might have been boring, people wanted, but I didn't want to say much. There's not going to be a debate on Fox, man. It's not going to happen. Probably nothing changes. I agree with you, yeah. And plus, that was a big charade by them to pull that stunt with Taylor Swift at the end of that debate. That's pathetic that they did that. That's a buffer. So they thought that she was going to do bad, so then they'd bring out the endorsement. That's pretty crazy. But wow, what a lot to digest there. Trump is on Fox. I don't know. Fox probably is not live, so I'm not going to be able to watch it.
Season finale.
Whatever. Can't access X because you're from Brazil. Yeah, well, are you afraid to use a VPN? I know, though, they're going to fine you if you use a VPN. Right, exactly. The statement was prepared ahead of time. Yeah, but it was totally obvious by the statement. It looked like ChatGPT, too. It was totally fake. I mean, it's all fake, man. She didn't even write. I don't think a human wrote that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was ChatGPT writing that. I'm not kidding you. Maybe they've mixed a few words around. All right, guys, make sure you follow me on X. I'm gonna end it off here.